FlossTube Stitchers. As you may have noticed, I like to number and name my videos. I think it's easier to keep track of what I've already talked about, maybe what the central topic is for this video. I think it helps both myself and other people find videos when they're looking for them. And I also think it looks more professional. So when I was looking to find a name for tonight's video, I realized from my list that I have used a lot of titles with freebie in it because I've been doing this for, a couple of years, the freebie Februaries. So then it came to me, oh, well, F is for freebies. And then I had to chuckle because F stands for a lot of things so far this year, if you know what I mean. F stands for frustration, and probably most of it for me has been with technology. F also stands for failure. There's still something I fail at or I see other people fail at all the time, and it's frustrating. F is also for a huge issue I just had with FedEx Express. I did not ask for the item to be shipped that way, and it took over a week to get to me. And maybe someday I'll tell you the whole story, but I'm really mad at FedEx Express right now. F is also for a family member passing away. My dad's youngest sibling, his only sister, passed away recently, and although she had been ill, it was still a surprise. And so that's also, a disappointment. And frustrating that he is not able to travel to go back for the funeral. So we're gonna have to figure out how to watch a Facebook Live. I think we're gonna need some instruction on that. So anyway, but F is also for freebies. And so that's gonna be the focus of tonight's video. F also stands for friend. And the vintage stitch I'm gonna show you tonight was stitched by my friend Jan back in 1990. You know how I know that? Because it says it right on the front. Here it is. So I always had to chuckle at Jan's initials because it's her nickname too. So her initials are Jan. Her real name is Janet, but she's always gone by Jan, and then her middle initial is A. So her initials spell her nickname. And I had to search a little bit to figure out what this was. I sort of thought I knew who designed it, and I was partially right. I was thinking that it looked like a Sheepish Designs, which was Dawn Bradford. And I was so sad when she retired. I really loved her designs, and I had taken some classes from her at retreats. But this actually, let me get this right. This was designed by her, I think it was her sister-in-law, Cynthia Daly. And she became the design company little by little. And so she must have started by providing a few designs for Dawn. So the name of the chart is Sheepish Hearts, Heart 1. And I think there were only 2. And, maybe that's when Cynthia went off on her own, or maybe they just moved on to a different topic. But I think there were just 2 Sheepish Hearts. So anyway, I thought that was also appropriate for Valentine's week, and I had found it a number of months ago and put it aside knowing that I was going to show it as a vintage stitch this month. Okay, then our new shop model is Patriotic Tiny Town by Heart and Hand Needle Art. And this, of course, was stitched and framed by Bonnie Safran of Valley Framing. I showed one of her things last week. I don't like to use models from the same stitchers or the same designers from week to week. I like to mix it up, but it just so happened that she brought these back 2 weeks in a row. So I had her Kindness last week, and so I have her Patriotic Tiny Town. She had belonged to a number of fabric automatics during COVID, and I don't think she could remember what this was, but to me, it looks like either Vapors from Atomic Ranch Fabrics or Seltzer from Grace Notes, because we've had both of those colors. I actually have Seltzer right now in 28 linen, and I have vapors, I think, in an Ada. And so I thought, oh yeah, it could be either one of those two colors. And I didn't even look to see what the original called for. I meant to, but I forgot, but you can look it up pretty easily. And right now, I can't remember what the frill was, but I think this is the first time that Bonnie added one of the extra frills to her design. So it's a little bit longer than the other ones, but it's really, really cute. And again, she stitches with one strand on 32 Lugana, and all the colors show up great. Okay, we'll put that back in a safe place. And then we shall move on to my freebies. I'm going to show these in order of how the week went because I think it makes sense to me, and that's how my list is made. And if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, that's of course how they showed up. So Monday was day 3, and this is Spring Bluebird from Waxing Moon Designs, and I had stitched this years ago, but I hadn't finished it. Now, I think we even made kits for it because I had stitched enough of it to know how much thread should go in the kit. And I found evidence, that I had Xeroxed the charts to pass out. I don't know why I didn't finish it back then. I got to a certain point, I guess, and we could make kits and show people what it was, but all I had to do was stitch the 4 flowers in the corners and the bird's eye. And the changes that I made were very few. Obviously, I had already stitched it in the suggested gentle art threads, but the flowers were done in 2 different shades that no longer looked good together due to current dye lots. So I made the lighter part of the flower a solid DMC to make sure that it stood out. And then the eye was supposed to be done in black, but I think I had 3371 handy, and it's an X surrounded by 4 back stitches so that it shows up nicely. Now, if I had to do it all over again, I might not have stitched the bird in stripes, or I might not have stitched the bird 1X at a time. I might have reversed the threads or gone across the row and back again so that it wasn't quite so stripy, but I think the wing is dark enough that it does show up. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish it. I don't have a lot of framed spring things, but I also found some really cute scrapbook paper, and that's how I took the picture for social media. And I thought, oh, I might like to do some kind of alternative finish. So there's some pattern behind it. And this is available on Waxing Moon's website. Then the next day was the 4th, Tuesday, and it had to be patriotic for I started to say freebies on the 4th. Flags on the 4th is what Primrose Cottage started. And let's see, I will show you and of course I lost it now because I've been talking too long. So this is what the original looks like. It's not stitched in this. This is just the computer generated project, but it has the alphabet in it. And it's from Jean Farish Needleworks website. She shows it as a black and white chart and as a color chart, whichever you find easier to stitch from. And I recommend it for a good read. There's a little history of her design business, and then she gives some tips for how to make the alphabet stand out more. So first of all, I'm doing it on 32 lamb's wool, 32 platinum Joblin, I think. It was just a scrap. And I'm just using 1 strand. And when I showed it on Facebook and Instagram, you couldn't see the gold as well. I'm taking these photos like at midnight, trying to get a good picture in my house without turning all the lights on. And so I probably should take my light box home when I do something like that, but I didn't have it handy. So I think the colors are going to show up very nicely in person. I do have a little bit more done. I finished the dark gold band, the dark blue band, and then I started on the flag field. And she also, well, the first place that I saw it was in the Star Spangled Stitchers Facebook group. And so she had mentioned that she was going to show her finished piece in that group, but it dates back to like 2015. And I spent a lot of time one night binge watching something. And I only got back to 2020 because there were so many photos. And a trick is to don't scroll through the Facebook page, scroll through the photos because that saves you some time. But I only got back to 2020, and when I realized how long that had taken me, I knew I would never get back to 2015. Then I tried searching within the group, and I only got 2 pictures. So the first one is a frame. Oh, I'm trying to keep the black field there. Okay, so the first one is a framed piece. Looks really cute on somebody's bookshelf. And that was stitched by Carol Verbal. And I don't remember if it said, I do believe that she changed some of the colors. Then the next one I saw was a sweet little pillow finish, and that was stitched by Laura Merwin. And I never did find Jean's. Did I try to search her website too? Because she said she might post it there. Who knows, maybe she never stitched hers either. She came out with a second version, but I only found that also in a computer generated image. So I don't know what she ended up doing. She was using a mix of Cosmo and Threadworks, but she put DMC colors in the chart. And I'm using the DMC because I liked them all, and so I didn't want to change them. And she gave a couple tips, which is why I also chose this for Tuesday's tip, for making the letters stand out a little bit more. Of course, when you design something and don't stitch it first, maybe you're not sure how something's going to look. And so I think these tips were really decent of her to give and very helpful in case you started stitching it and the letters kind of blended in more than you wanted to. So she suggested bumping up the color of the letters, which I assume means making it one shade darker. And then she says move down a shade for the stripes and keep the letters the same color. You could stitch the letters with 2 strands and stitch the stripes with a single strand. Or you could stitch everything with 2 strands except use a half cross for the stripes. I don't know which one I'm going to do. I haven't gotten to the stripes yet. I like all of the ideas. I've never done something where the whole background was just a half cross. I think I've done some things like the sky was done that way, and it was intentional from the designer. So I've done things where I've done my own initials in Smyrna cross for a little subtle signature in there, and I have darkened the color. So maybe I'll do the half cross stitch. I don't know. I'll decide soon because I'm enjoying working on this. Okay, so that was day 4. Then the next day was, I'll show you the picture first. This is from Annie B's Folk Art. There we go. And actually I noticed when I saved the picture that she had forgotten a little motif that's right in there. It still looks good, but I just noticed that it didn't match the chart. And it's an over 1 motif. So I'm doing this on, I already forgot what I put, it's in my post. I'm pretty sure it's 32 because I was questioning whether I should do 1 strand or 2. And I decided to use 2. Yeah, it's 32 Covered Bridge by Legacy Fiber Arts. And I did this little flower pot motif in 1 strand, and I thought it looked too light, and I realized that the over 1 parts were going to look dark because the stitch was going to be really concentrated in those areas, and I didn't want the rest of the design to look like a different color or not stand out as much. So I thought because they're such separate motifs, I think the 2 strands is fine, and I like what it looks like so far. I believe I stitched all of that in one night. And it's kind of funny how you remember what you were watching when you stitch things. So I was watching Special Forces, the finale, I think. So anyway, that's what I got done so far. I really enjoyed working on it. And for all of these projects, I probably would have kept on going, but you know, I had to stop because the next day I had to do another freebie. Let's see, that I am stitching with Gloriana Antique Black. And one of the other reasons why I use 2 strands is that it's really fine. I usually think that any silk can be stitched with the number of strands that you would normally use in cotton, but for some reason this seemed thin, and I had recently finished a piece using Belle Soie, and I feel like that was a little fluffier fiber, and it covered, one strand covered better. So I'm really happy with the 2 strands. And I forgot to jot down the name, but somebody said that Antique Black was their, I think they posted it. Yeah, because obviously they haven't seen this video yet, duh. But they posted that Antique Black was their favorite hand-dyed black to use. And I know you probably can't see, but yeah, it has some brownish strands going through it. And I just think it's really pretty. So I chose that, and I had never used that color before. So that was new. I like to use remnants of fabric from my stash or remnants from the shop that are a weird shape that are, would be ridiculous to try to sell or put in. It would be unfair to put a really skinny piece or a too small of a piece in a grab bag, because I'm more generous with the pieces that I put in the remnant bags. So I like to use those. And then I like to use a new fiber. And of course, if you've never done my freebie Februaries before, I do a different designer every day, so I don't repeat designers. Okay, then the next day was Throwback Thursday, and this was a really old freebie. I think it was 2014, and this is called, it's not a very good picture because I had to blow it up from the little tiny little cube that was shown on Shepherd's Bush's website. And when you blow it up, it gets blurry, but it's called Happy Snowman. And you can get it by going to there's a freebies page. I think there's only 2 or 3 freebies on there, but so this is Happy Snowman. And I forgot to bring the buttons with me tonight, but I did show the picture on social media with the little, they're Jabco buttons. They're not handmade, but they're hand dyed. So they're actually, I think, supposed to be flowers, but people started using them as snowflakes, and I thought that was a brilliant idea. So I know that looked really blue in the picture. They had used Weeks Dye Works Periwinkle, and when you look at the thread, it's not quite that bright blue. But then when I looked at Williamsburg Blue was one of the colors that was used. When I pulled that color, I thought, oh, I think I'd like to do this snowman on lavender. And I believe they did do one of their snowman kits on like a lavender fabric. So anyway, this is 16 count The Gray Stuff by Grace Notes Fabrics. And the only reason that I know what the gray stuff is because I watched Stitching with the Housewives. I thought the gray stuff was frosting, but it's actually kind of like a mousse. But I always thought it was frosting. But so Corinne named her fabric the Gray Stuff. It actually has a very plum look to it. You can tell by my fingernail polish that it looks more plum than gray in person. It might not have shown up that well on social media, but I thought this color would look really good on it. And I started with the snowman, and at first I was like, I don't know if this is gonna show up well enough. And I know Bonnie's white always looks really good on colored fabric, but I'm not sure about this. But as soon as I put the house and the grass in, I knew it was gonna work. So I think I'm using most of the recommended colors. I switched the green because a slightly brighter green looked better on my fabric. And I think they used linen Weeks Dye Works for the white, and I'm just using white. I'm probably using bright white. All right, so that should be a pretty quick stitch. All right, then on Friday, I am featuring, let's see, let me make sure I say this right. So her name is Beth. She goes by Be More Creative, B-E-E, More Creative on FlossTube. That's her channel name, and she does freebies on the 17th. I can't remember if there's a reason for that or not, or maybe she videos a lot on the 17th and just decide. I can't remember if there's a story or not, but you can either hashtag look for freebies on the 17th, or you can just scroll through her videos and look for them. This one was on April 17th of 2024. And yeah, you can, and it's called Be Strong. So if you search for any of those things in YouTube, it will come up. And she has a lot of freebies. Her videos aren't too long, and she shows a lot of very creative finishes. So the picture that I showed was a screen grab from her video, and she did Be Strong on a block that she painted, and she also did a bunch of them as cards to send to friends. So I like her vibe. She encourages stitching from stash. She's very positive and believes in the power of positivity, and she's very generous with her freebies, and she shows a lot of creative finishes. So I do enjoy her videos. So I found a scrap. Now I probably could have put this in a remnant bag because it's a decent size, but I liked it, and so I saved it. It's also a discontinued color. So this is 16 count Aida in Dapple by Picture This Plus, and I thought, you know what? I know I'm going to find something. I actually thought I was going to do Halloween on this, but I found that Be Strong looked really good on it, and I'm going to try some kind of alternative finish like she did. She just suggested choosing your own black, white, and gold, although she did list what she used, and I used completely different colors, and it still looks really great. I centered it a little different. I think I moved the word over one, and I changed one tiny thing about the back stitching. That's it. So basically, it's the same as hers, except on a different color fabric. Okay, I think that's all I want. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say about hers. Then on Saturday, for Show and Tell Saturday, I thought, oh, I think I'm gonna show something that's already done, or maybe something that somebody else did. And so I had saved this photo from Market last year, and this is a free chart, so if it flashes on camera, it's okay. But I wanted to show you. Let's see, maybe I'll do okay. This is the picture that I put on social media that I took in her suite in Nashville. And so the piece in the black frame is the antique that she purchased. And then that's the free chart laying on the table. So what I'm going to show you is the free chart. That's how she finished hers. And she took a plain frame, or she repainted a frame and waxed it and did some other things to it, and she explains that in her video. So if you want the chart, you can actually get it from any shop that went to Market last year. I have printed copies of this, but for my viewers who want to look online and find it for themselves, this is Violets and Verses, and if you go to her YouTube channel and look for Sampler Sunday number 40, and it was on May 21st, 2023. The chart is called E.E. Richardson 1876, and it can also, well, if you go to her video, there's a link. I I didn't write all the instructions down here because I put them in my social media post. So I guess I thought I'd remember. But anyway, her mom stitched the chart and she chose 16 count on purpose because it's easier for her to see. She had had cataract surgery, but also as a subtle declaration that you can stitch on whatever you want. You don't have to follow somebody else's rules. Samplers don't have to be, done on linen. You don't have to use hand-dyed. Just do what brings you joy. Do what you can see. Do what you can handle. Do what you can afford. It's your project. And so she purposely did it on 16 count. And I really enjoyed listening to that video. She talked a lot about, her channel it started off being all about samplers, and she was a history teacher, so she's very interesting. But her last name is Richardson. So Jennifer said she always looks for samplers with the last name Richardson, and this was, a sweet little one. It was also red, and a lot of people collect or like to stitch red samplers, and so this just really spoke to her. And she used Au Versoir, the 103 in red, number 644, and black 774. But she does give DMC substitutes, and of course you could do it in any color you wanted. I might be tempted to do it in blue. So that's E.E. Richardson by Violets and Verses. Then for today, I actually really like to show a finished piece on Sundays because then I can do a screen grab and use that on social media, and it serves both purposes. So I had found this recently and thought it was a printed chart. I couldn't find it. I looked, I found this a while ago and thought I was gonna save it for freebie February, but only if I could figure out where the chart was from. And it turns out that you can find it on Facebook. So this is Liberty U. It's got glass on it. I can't remember why we put glass on it. I don't know, maybe it was because we did and I say we because I don't specifically remember stitching it, but it was a shop model. So we did the sheep in French knots, and I think everything else is done as described because it was designed by Sharon Crescent when she owned Crescent Colors, and of course she used her own thread, and that's what we used as well. So if you go to the Little House and Country Cottage Stitching Group on Facebook, go to the files, and then you have to scan all the way down. Where is my note? Scroll all the way down, and it doesn't actually say Liberty U. It says scan 2006 PDF. And I found it I just clicked on all the, I was looking for free charts. I was trying to decide what I was going to do this year for free charts. And I found it there. So it's not called Liberty U, but if you scan all the way down to the bottom, that's where it is. And then you can print it off from there. Okay, so yeah, I think that is it. The only other thing I was going to say is that the winner of the $25 Nashville Cash gift certificate from last week's video is Charla Francis. So I did reach out to her. I already have her address, but because she's long distance, we will just be keeping the gift certificate here and then redeeming it when she decides what she wants to buy after market is over. Okay, that's it. I'm off for more freebie stitching, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.